Well, good afternoon. I've been about 2 weeks or so since I've done a video, and I've already had some viewers commenting, hey, when are you going to put up a new one? So anyway, what's happening is I'm getting ready for another show that I was invited to, the Arts and Crafts show, and I've really been just busting it out here in the shop, and I just haven't had time to. I haven't even been on Facebook for a while. I'm just working out here, getting stuff done. And a while back, some subscribers had asked me, why don't you do a pen video? Well, just like the sharpener, I really didn't feel like I needed to do a pen video because there's so many pen videos out there. And, I really don't have anything new to offer. But I do have one aspect of pen turning that you may be interested in, and that's production. Turning, a lot of pens in a small amount of time. I generally can turn around 15 to 20 in a day, and even on up to 30 if I get out here early enough. But I'll show you how I do that. It's pretty simple. No special equipment needed or anything like that. It's just the methods that I've developed for turning, a lot of pens. And I use pens for basically helping me, with shop expenses, sandpaper, finish, whatever I need out here in the shop, because it is a good way to make a little money to help you support your shop. And they cost a little bit to get started. The pens that I'm doing today are the slim lines. You can get them from PSI, Woodcraft. You can get them lots of different places. But I look around and I buy them when they're on sale, when I can catch a sale on them. And generally you can get about 30 pens, slim lines, for about $50, which is pretty good. That's less than $2 a piece for the kits. So and I keep my scraps. I cut all my scraps up into blanks whenever I need blanks, or if I think a piece of scrap wood would look good as a pen, I'll cut it on down into pen blanks, and that's what I do. So without any further ado, we'll get started. I generally try to run about 6 pens at a time. Okay, and I ordered my pens. They came in about 2 days ago. This is from Penn State. It comes with 6 different types of pens, 6 different finishes. I mean, like gunmetal, copper, satin pearl, gold, chrome, different types of finishes. But there's 6 different finishes, and there's 5 pens per finish. So I've got 30 pens here. The way I do this is I'll take one from each bag. I'll take one from each bag, and I end up with this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I end up with 6 pen kits here, and I'll carefully choose my 6 blanks. Okay, I'll start out and I'll just cut down any scraps around the shop that I think would be nice. I'll cut them into blanks, about 5 inches by 3/4 by 3/4. It doesn't matter what you start with. You can start with a board or you can start with a log. Either way works just fine. After a while, you'll get a little collection. As you cut up your scraps, you'll end up with quite a few blanks of all different kinds of wood. You need to name them all. I'll just write the names down, and then I'll mark a center line to keep my orientation correct. Right here, 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 here. And I have 2 of the same blanks, so I'm going to put 2 marks on one. That way I don't get the 2 blanks confused when I go later. Now I'll just gang cut them down the correct length for my barrels. And get ready to drill. Okay, I'm getting ready to, I've got to find my centers, and I use the center of the pen to get my center marks, because the two blanks will come together in the pen there. So I want the center marks on the center of the blank. And I'll get it in my little drill vise, improvised. and that's I'll get them drilled out. And you always want to use the drill, get it just as centered as possible, and use your drill in a pulsing fashion to help keep the shavings cleaned out. And if you've got a 10-inch drill press, you'll probably have to do this right here because it won't reach all the way through. But it stays straight all the way out the bottom. And we'll just get the other half in, and we'll drill it out also. There again, make sure you use a pulsing action so that you keep your chips cleaned out and keep your blank cooled down on the inside. Okay, now I'm getting ready to glue up my blanks, and I use Gorilla Glue or a polyurethane glue instead of CA. I'll use CA if I'm doing acrylic blanks, but I always use Gorilla Glue or polyurethane glue for wooden blanks. Make sure you clean off all the shiny portions of the barrels with sandpaper. And here, polyurethane glue needs moisture, so I'll wet the insides of the barrels with a Q-tip, and I'll dip the barrel and put polyurethane glue around it. Get a little bit on the inside, and then I'll start working the barrel in, twisting, pull it in and out so that you can tell and make sure that the glue gets down the whole barrel. Push the barrel in just below flush, and this is what you end up with: 6 blanks, or 6 pen blanks. And then milling, you got to mill. Use your pen mill to get the blanks squared up with your barrels. So you wanna mill all the way down to the barrel every time. Then we get started. If you can see my orientation here, I try to keep that line straight. I get all my bushings in place and a spacer on each end. I'll bring up my tailstock until it just barely starts to turn. And then I'll tighten down the little nut right there. You don't want to put pressure on your tailstock. That can warp your mandrel. This mandrel's about 7 years old. Now I'm just going to start turning. I'll rough it first. Get her down. And I'm just using pull cuts here. And then I'll go back on each one and I'll make push cuts, rubbing the bevel down to about the diameter of the pen that I want. And then I can start deciding how I want the pen to look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little nib here on the front. Make sure that your diameter comes right down to the bushing. I check it with my fingernail. I'm going to put just a little bit of a cove here. And kind of an arc in the back. Just to give it a couple of nice little curvy features. And then I'll start on the top portion of the pen. I always orient my pens the same direction every time on the lathe. The portion I'm working on now is the actual top part of the pen. I'm getting ready. I'm just gonna make a big arc out of it from one end to the other. Okay. Now I'm gonna scrape it down with a scraper or with my skew and a round nose scraper. I'll need a round nose scraper along those inside curves there. Scrape everything nice and neat. And this way I can start sanding around 220. Depending, if 220 don't take the marks out, I'll have to back on up to 150 or 100. But generally, I can start at 220 here. And I'll only sand to 320. I'll start with 220 here. Start getting it sanded up. And I'll turn all 6 pins in that bunch all at the same time before I start assembling or anything. Always make sure you go back with the grain and take out any scratches. Any scratches that you see. If you find more scratches, keep sanding. If they're too bad, then you have to go to a heavier grit sandpaper. And now I'm just going to put a couple of decorative marks. Here, here, here. And I'm going to burn those in with a wire. I'll proceed on with my 320 sandpaper. Anytime you do details, don't do any details until after you've sanded at least 220. You can begin removing your details. Make sure all your marks are gone. Roll everything out good. Getting ready for the finish. I'm going to take it off the lathe for my finish. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to hang it on a wire. Take the bottom of the pin first and drop it on the wire. Take the bushing off and drop the top part of the pin on the wire. And it's oriented the same way it's going to be when the pin is assembled. Now I'm going to use a rattle can of lacquer. And the reason I use lacquer is I kind of got tired of people bringing pins back to me that had been done with friction polishes. And the finish would dull out after time. But this is the way I spray them. I'll hook them and I'll take them outside to cure up for a few minutes for the second coat. In the meantime, I'll continue turning the next pin. And end up with pins that are being finished, blanks that are about to be drilled, blanks that are ready to be milled, and some that are glued up. So I have a lot of different aspects going on all at the same time here. So I can keep the ball rolling without actually having to stop. I can once they're done, I'll take them off and just like they are, going on the pin. Just like that. I'm getting ready to assemble, so I'm going to take one out of the bag. I'll lay everything out on paper towel so I don't lose anything. I can also check and make sure that everything came there. I got these rubber things at Home Depot, but I was using a wooden strip, which works just fine. I used maple, but you just want something on there that won't scar up your finishes. Put the nib on. Then we're going to press in the mechanism to the line for slim lines. Check it, make sure it comes out far enough. That one doesn't. So we're going to try it just a little bit more and see if that works. And it does. Perfect. Now we'll put the center band on, and we'll start on the top portion of the pen. And that includes the clip and the cap, and they just press in also. Now the pen just presses together. Like so. Make sure you line your grain up good when the pen's closed. And there we go. There's all 6 pens. The first batch is now done, and I'll continue on going through my process. Okay, well, that is my production pen wood turning video. I've been asked to do pen videos before by subscribers and viewers and things like that, and you know, like I said, I really didn't have anything to offer, but the videos that I have seen were making individual pens and things like that, and I said, well, you know, normally when I make pens, I'm making 30, 60, 100 at a time or something like this, and my shop is so small that when I start doing something like that, I have to go through the whole process and get them all done, because my shop basically gets turned into a pen making studio or whatever, because I just don't have room to be doing pen projects and bowls and vases and things like that all at the same time. I have to do a project. But anyway, these are the pens here. My first set right here, and they were actually I actually turned them yesterday, but they you know, I let the finish cure overnight before I actually did the assembly. But this finish, which I don't know if you can see them or not, but this finish will look that good for years, literally for years. And you know, I don't have to worry too much about these things coming back to me, as long as the pens aren't abused and you know, dipped in chemicals, or you know, around people who have chemicals in their fingers or whatever in their job. But under normal use, these pens will look good for years to come with a lacquer finish. And I'm not, please don't think I'm against the friction polishes and things like that, but I've just found people bringing pens back to me wanting them refinished, and these things are hard to take apart. You about have to purchase a disassembly kit and things like that. They're hard to take back apart, put back on the lathe, and sand back down and all of that good stuff. So I don't use the friction polishes on pens anymore. The ones, I mean, I know that they'll probably be used daily, and if they're under that kind of use, then they need a little bit more durable finish in my book. And since I started using lacquer, I hadn't had any come back. So, but anyway, that's how I do it. I'm fixing to get back on it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and wish me luck at the Riverwalk Festival in Rockmart. It's next weekend. So if anybody's close by, you want to come look around at the arts and crafts, and they're having a balloon show and stuff like that, or hot air balloons and stuff like that, stop by. I'd love to see you, talk to you. It's Saturday the 17th in the park downtown Rockmart. All right, y'all have a good day.